Hey everybody, I wanted to take a couple minutes to talk a little bit about shooting your videos for the informative speech. You've had a chance to kind of decompress since the first assignment, the passion speech, and quite a few people had some issues with their video, so I thought I would suggest a sort of process for you to go through to make sure that there are no points deductions for video quality or any aspect of the recording of your videos. So the first thing I suggest you do, obviously, if you haven't already done so, go to the Passion Speech video assignment, click on your grade, and then take a look at the rubric. And you'll notice there are comments in some of the categories. There may be comments in the comments section. And in the rubric itself, it explains some of the penalties. So, for example, um, uh, for video quality, if the camera shakes or moves constantly, there's a points deduction for that. So the first thing you obviously have to do is understand what, if any, problems did you have with your recording. Then the next thing I think you should probably do is watch your video on a quality computer, either a laptop, preferably a desktop. I view these on a brand new iMac, and it's capable of playing HD quality videos. The sound quality is really good. And I'm guessing that if you watch your video on a phone, it might look different than if you watch it on a device that has a bigger screen and maybe can play video at a higher quality or audio. One thing I can say for sure about the audio is when I watch speeches on my laptop, the volume tends to be lower. When I watch them on the iMac, the volume is better. So I've moved to doing all of my speech grading on an iMac just to get the highest quality image. So if you're shooting your video and then testing it by looking at it on your phone, or maybe even on a tablet, I'm not sure, it might not look the same way as when I see it. So go to a computer lab if you want to. Most of the computer labs have Macs. You could probably view your video on an iMac and look to see if you can see the problems I'm noting on your assignment. And of course, if you see that there's a critique I've given you that you can't see it, then email me in the comment section of the assignment and we can work it out that way. So from there, then you need to really have a plan. And I think a lot of what happened, for example, with not showing your note cards at the proper time or correctly, you didn't have a plan, you weren't fully prepared, and at the end of the speech, you rushed to finish it, or the person who was in charge of your recording wasn't exactly sure what they were supposed to do. So you really have to plan out exactly what's going to happen, and there's no rush. Um, so a couple of things for your next video. One thing I noticed is videos that were recorded in at least 720p were fine. Once you get below that, once you get to 480 or 380, I think those are the numbers. Once you get below 720, then we started having problems. So on the device that you're recording, you might want to look to see um, can you adjust the recording quality? And ideally, you'll record in HD. Now, I know some people have issues with the storage on their phone not allowing for a 10-minute recording at the highest quality rate, but you need to figure that out. And I should mention, this is actually a good place to talk about this, and I mentioned this at the beginning of the semester. These videos substitute for us being in a classroom together. So what I'm trying to approximate in your video recordings is for me to be able to sit and watch your speech as if I were in the room with you. In a classroom, I may be sitting 30 to 40 feet away from the person giving the speech. I can clearly hear them, I can clearly see them, and we need to approximate that in your videos. So when I'm sitting in a classroom listening to a speech, I'm never looking at a grainy image, right? The person is never blurry. I can always hear them clearly. And so we need to make sure that your videos are of a quality that I can grade them properly. This class would not work if the technology did not allow us to record you giving a speech in front of an audience and give you a good grade. If we can't get good video quality, we can't have a class like this online. That's just kind of the bottom line. And it's a unique class in that it's skills based, and it's not a writing skill necessarily. Um, the oral delivery is a very challenging thing to get right in an online class. So I know that some of this may seem kind of picky, but also keep in mind you're getting college credit for doing this not in a classroom. Okay, so make sure you're recording in at least 720p, and when you upload to YouTube and set all of your settings there, make sure you allow for the highest quality recording to be viewed. Usually YouTube will auto select this, but if you upload in 320 or whatever it is, and depending on how your settings are, I can't change it even if it's possible that your recording was at a higher quality. The next thing, do a test recording, not on the day that you're going to record the speech, in the space you're going to record. And record yourself speaking for maybe 30 seconds, maybe stand up and do your introduction, record your introduction, and make sure that you're meeting all of the requirements. So you need to be close enough so that I can see and hear you. I only need to see your upper body and your face. So several students had the camera way in the back of the room. I could see the entire front of the room, and they were just a small little speck. You know, that's an overstatement, but they were very tiny compared to the room. They needed to move the camera at least halfway closer to get the right distance. Generally speaking, if you put the camera in the audience, that's good. The only thing is, a couple of people I think were recording with their laptops, where they place the laptop right in front of them, maybe on a table. That's a little too close. So for example, the video I'm shooting now, this is too close. And actually, I shot a video demonstrating how to handle your card recording piece. And the distance I'm standing there should be good. I'll go back and double check. I'll send out a note if not. But I'm pretty sure that's a good example of the distance from the camera. If you're too close, it's difficult to judge your eye contact because I can't really... what I'm doing essentially is I have a sense of where the audience is in relation to you. And if you're too close to the camera, I lose that orientation. So, you know, usually you're standing 10 to 12 feet from the audience, and so that's probably how far away the camera should be. Another thing I want to emphasize, and again, this probably seems like a minor point, but at the same time, you're not sitting and watching 120 of these in the span of a week. So the camera or the recording device needs to be stable. If you're recording with your laptop, which is fine, my MacBook Pro records in HD and it's as good as any camera, that's fine. But the laptop needs to be sitting on a stable surface. Generally speaking, if someone is holding the device that's recording, that's not going to work. And inevitably, even the most steady-handed person will have moments where they lose focus or something happens. So you need to get just an inexpensive tripod for your cell phone. They make these adjustable ones that the phone fits in. You need to figure out a way to stabilize the camera. I gave you all some leeway if there was a little bit of shaking last time, but next time I want to see a nicely shot video where the camera doesn't move. The camera doesn't have to pan the audience. The camera doesn't have to move at all. It should be focused on you with you in the center of the frame. I should see your upper body and your face clearly, and nothing else needs to happen during your speech. Another tip that you should plan is that you don't need to shorten the video time. Now, there are time limits, and the time limit starts when you start your speech, start the intro, and the time limit ends when you end your conclusion. That's what I'm timing for the speech time and the penalties. So the informative speech, I think, is 5 to 7 minutes, which means you should be speaking for 5 to 7 minutes. Now, the video time, of course, is going to be longer than the speech time. And I think some people, especially at the end, are rushing to finish the video, and that's not necessary. So when you start the video, you say your name into the camera, and then take your time and show each person in the audience. Some people literally pan from person to person and count, so that as I'm counting along, I can see, yes, there are 9 people. Occasionally, people in the audience say hi to me or make a joke or whatever, that's fine. But I would prefer you show the audience more slowly. Occasionally, somebody whizzes past the 9 people, and it takes me a while to go back and stop and start to count. I actually count, are there 9 people there? But take your time, and especially at the end. I think for some reason when the speech is over, there's some inherent need to stop the recording. But when you're done, you know the first thing you have to do is show your speaking notes. The notes should never leave the view of the camera. And then you have to show your audience again. And so again, I tried to be flexible with these requirements, but next time I need to see one video from start to finish. State your name, slowly show the audience, do your 5 to 7 minute speech. Your audience can clap, show me the note cards. The note cards don't leave the view of the camera. Show them so that it focuses and I can count the words on the card. Show your audience one more time and then stop the recording. So for a 5 to 7 minute speech, the recording might be 10 to 15 minutes long. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so I think that's it. If there are any details you don't understand, I feel like I've given you a lot of information about how to record these speeches. I think the quality and the examples of videos that you've seen, the examples of delivery, the examples I've recorded, should give you an idea of what your videos should look like. And again, I know this might be a little bit more work than you were expecting, but if you think about the need to maintain the integrity of this class and the performance aspect of it, which is probably unlike almost any online class that we teach at CSN, excuse the dogs, you'll understand. And so do your best. Let me know if you have questions, and I'm looking forward to seeing your informative speeches.